Hello everybody, thank you very much for joining me for my review of the 1981 classic action-adventure film Raiders of the Lost Ark, directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Harrison Ford and Karen Allen. Raiders of the Lost Ark is definitely, in my opinion, one of the all-time classic action films, one of the greatest also in my opinion, and one of my personal favorites, and I will get into the reasons why, for which there are several. The plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark is pretty basic, pretty simple, like a lot of action films, but the good thing about action movies is that plots don't have to be too complex, but if everything is put together well and they are exciting and take the audience to a different world that they care about, they can succeed. So Raiders of the Lost Ark was nominated for 8 Oscars, 9 if you count the Special Achievement Award it was given for sound editing, I believe, and it also won 4 other competitive Oscars. I could argue it should have won even more Oscars, but that can be an argument for another day. But just the fact that the film was so well respected by the Academy says a lot, considering action films don't necessarily have the greatest track record over the years at the Academy Awards. So some of the things that make Raiders of the Lost Ark a great film, number one, and this is very important, is that Indiana Jones is a very iconic character who is fleshed out well enough that he's actually believable and that we care about what happens to him. I think where some even decent action movies get lost is that even if they're well done on a technical level, you really don't care that much about the characters. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, we really remember Indiana Jones and also some of the supporting characters, including Marion, who's very well played by Karen Allen. And some of the other characters and the villains are all pretty memorable in some way. Also, Steven Spielberg's direction has to be mentioned here. He really understands how to pace a film and how to direct action scenes. He actually makes us care about everything that's happening. And even though some of the things in the film are pretty improbable, of course, like most action films, he does make it believable enough where we just go with it and don't question it too much. Another thing that's great in this film is the editing. I still think this is one of the best put together films ever. Combined with some of the stunts, things like that. A lot of the action scenes are seamless, but all the pacing in the entire film is great. This film is around 2 hours, and it's a perfect length for a film of this type. It never really drags in any way, and it pretty much keeps you on the edge of your seat. There's a nice balance between plot and action scenes, things like that as well. Another major memorable thing about Raiders of the Lost Ark is John Williams' score. I've said before, John Williams is probably my favorite composer of all time, and I have to say this guy is really a genius. Some of his scores are great, and Raiders of the Lost Ark is right up there with his best. The score fits each scene perfectly, and it almost feels like another character. This movie would not be the same without the great score. Also, the ending of this film is very iconic and memorable. I won't give it away for those who haven't seen the film, which you definitely should, in my opinion. But the ending is very memorable and makes you think a little bit, which is also kind of rare for an action film. If I do have one slight complaint about Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's not enough to hurt the film, at the beginning there are 1 or 2 long exposition scenes which I felt could have been broken up throughout the movie. But the rest of the movie is so perfect and moves at such a great pace. I really can't say that it hurts the movie in any way. So overall, I'm going to give Raiders of the Lost Ark a 5 out of 5. To me, like I said, still probably in the top 5 action movies that I've ever seen, and there's a reason it's considered one of the most influential and greatest action films ever made. And it also brought us a lot of iconic and memorable characters, especially Indiana Jones. So, 5 out of 5 for Raiders of the Lost Ark. Thanks for your continued support, and thank you very much for watching.